Feral without those bleeds getting dispelled is going to be something else I think is going to be pretty important.
All right, well, the gates are opening soon here. It is nLite versus F2K MyWay. Jungle versus Jungle. 0-0.
Facile immediately getting stunned. Cassidy following up, jumping in to stun Hydra. Crowd control engages for nLite. We see Casso leap over. Both priests in a freezing trap. Feral Druids trading on the side of Cassidy with that survival instincts, whereas they're focusing the Hunter more so on F2K. So a bit of a targeting difference between the teams. F2K going after the Feral Druid a bit more, and nLite going after the Hunter. I would imagine they want to stop that mending bandage with stuns. Zuniaki moves into midfield. He's getting in position to go for a Psychic Scream. Which priest is going to get the Psychic Scream first? Zuniaki gets intercepted. Oh. These teams are mirroring each other identically, but Hydra gets the upper hand here with his Psychic Scream landing first.
Wow, what a beautiful timing there on that in-team stun by Kasu. But Hydra is actually going to be in a full trap. Cassidy taking a decent amount of damage here. Zuniaki moving in for the Fury, gets it. And now Tony could be in a little bit of trouble here. They already forced out all survival instincts from Cassidy. So if Tony has to trade one, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But right now, he is greeting it big time here behind the pillar. And it could cost him. He's finally going to activate that survival instinct. They're going to have to overlap it here with Hydra's barrier. He gets a nice Shadow Man there. Tony now going to look completely fine on HP. Hydra is going to look to move for the Fear. Zuni doesn't have his Fear just yet. He's full trap. Cassidy in a stun into a full Fear out of that trap onto Zuni. Cassidy taking so much damage. I do believe that's a Gladiator's Maledict as well, soaking up the hits. Facile as well getting cleaved here. Zuniaki now getting kicked by Tony. Do they have the damage to force out any final big cooldowns here? Doesn't look like it. And now Facile's looking to move into a trap. He gets a nice stun there onto Hydra, into the freezing trap. Zuni in position here to follow up with a Fear. And I don't know who's going to go down first here, man.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really close game. All four of these DPS are running the Gladiator's Maledict, so really soaking up some of that healing when they do end up getting crowd control. Full trap secured onto Zuniaki, and Hydra actually moving into position to get a full Fear. And a key difference between these two priests is Hydra's actually playing Undead versus Zuniaki on the Human. So that means Hydra is going to win the Fear exchange just a little bit because he does have that Will of the Forsaken. So definitely interesting differences between these two teams. Mind control coming in from Hydra. Zuniaki moving into position to potentially look for a Fear right now. Hydra's on the run. Full stun onto Hydra. Where's the crowd control? Full Fear from Zuniaki. And now at this point, I mean, someone could be in trouble, but a nice preemptive pain suppression onto Tony Cat will avoid a lot of that damage. But still, the burst damage from Cassidy and Facile is starting to really lay in. And Tony Cat's going to have to be a little bit careful.
Good crowd control on Zuniaki right now. They're going after Facile. They stun him up in the bash. Zuni's out of crowd control, though. Should be able to pick him up. They use Thorns. They switch onto Cassidy. Neither team wants to attack into Thorns. It's going to be a lot of extra damage that is needlessly going to be taken here in the mirror matchup. Mana advantage to Zuniaki at this point, which is surprising because Hydra's actually built his trinkets around mana regeneration. Full freezing trap now on Hydra. Maledicts have been launched over onto Tony. Looking to develop some momentum here, but not finding enough damage. Nice Psychic Scream slipped in by Hydra, going after Facile, trying to burst him down, switching some pressure to Cassidy. I like the two-pronged assault, focusing damage on two targets. It's really going to stress out the Priest, having to spam out those Shadow Mens once they leave crowd control. Archangel activated for Hydra, a little bit of a difference there. Zuniaki running Strength of Soul to get some damage reduction during his powered shields. The builds are actually quite different between the teams. I'm curious to see who gets ahead.
Oh, stun onto Facile. Now stun into Hydra. Trinket from Facile on that stun into a full freezing trap. Tony in a big trouble here. Goes barefoot with survival instinct. Maledict is ticking, but Zuniaki getting trapped there on his way to Fear Hydra. And now he's in a Fear. Warstorm comes out. Cassidy taking a lot of damage. Facile with the mending bandage, removing the dots, trying to keep Cassidy healthy and, you know, offensive here. Zuni now has his Fear cooldown ready, and Hydra does not. So Hydra needs to avoid Zuni in this situation and try to keep his teammates top. The most important thing here for F2K MyWay is to keep everybody on high HP before Hydra gets that CC chain. A nice preemptive barrier there right before he gets Fear there. Hydra really doing a great job so far on that Priest. Zuni as well now in a very defensive position, still not able to get anything going just yet. Hydra now going to be in a full freezing trap. Zuni stun into trap. Tony in the stun now. Mending Bandit comes out. He does have the Thorns active as well. I don't think Hydra is in position to fear Zuni. And I don't know. This might just come down to mana at this point. Might just come down to damage. Zuni looking for the fear here. He gets stopped by Kasu, and Hydra's trying to avoid it. He gets stunned potentially here into a Psychic Scream. He's going to connect it, stun onto Tony, or into Cassidy actually, but Tony is the one who has to be on the run here, being very defensive in the situation. Zuni activating the barrier, and Tony is going to get topped off from that Vitality Conduit as both teams keep on swinging here.
Yeah, I mean, and we talked about burst damage, we talked about crowd control, and obviously those things are mattering, but what seems to be mattering more, like you mentioned, is just mana and sheer output of your damage. So it's going to be interesting to see who's been doing more damage in this match, and that score screen might end up really mattering in this one. Bash into Fear onto Hydra. Tony getting lower. He's in a lot of trouble. Maledict is rolling. Hydra really struggling to keep him alive, but a big heal comes in. Tony times it at the end of that Maledict to avoid it being soaked up by that healing reduction. Now Tony looking to get aggressive once again. Full stun onto Zuniaki. Fear, nicely done there by Hydra. 3% dampening at this point. Both these priests are looking to be running on fumes, but Hydra a little bit behind right now. I would say that Zuniaki has a nice mana lead.
We'll see if they can keep it up here. Full freezing trap on Hydra, really pre-paint suppressions in. Hydra's cooldown usage has been excellent, but maybe it doesn't matter. Dampening's kicking in. Tony is still low on health. Zuni in a freezing trap trying to turn it around onto Cassidy, but they're not even denting him at this point. Berserk is still rolling around. These Rapture powered shields are going to be super powerful for Zuniaki thanks to his Strength of Soul honor talent. So I think it's unlikely we see them dent them through the Rapture at this point. And Hydra's almost completely tapped on mana, caught into a bash on his Rapture. Tony could be in trouble, already low on health. He's on the run. He gets stunned up. He did manage to get into bear form, but freezing trap is still lasting for 2 more seconds. Is he going to be able to hold strong? In the meantime, Cassidy secures the freezing trap on the Zuniaki. Cassidy is going to survival instincts instantly. He wants to stay at high health so he can stay on target here onto Tony. Zuniaki with still a slight mana edge at this point in the game. Can he keep the lead? Hydra drops the barrier. The seal doesn't seem to care. He's going to jump over, look for a freezing trap. No, they go for a psychic scream first. Can they chain it into a trap? At the moment, it looks like no. Casu pulls away to try and soak the freezing trap. He's standing right on top of Hydra, but he doesn't manage to land it. And now this Feral Tony is in a lot of trouble. He wild charges back to Hydra, trying to break the freezing trap, reposition, Vitality Conduit stabilizing, mana evening out. And I didn't expect to see the Chungomir go into dampening, but this one has been going on at such a high intensity for so long.
Yeah, this is, I think, has been the longest game of the day so far. A jungle mirror, definitely not what you would expect. There's been kill opportunities though on both sides, and right now it looks like nLite are trying to set up one kill. Tony already in bear form, preemptively realizing what's about to happen here. But now he goes cat forward. Maledict is active onto Tony. Hydra's in a full trap. Let's see what they can get done here. It looks like they're trying to counter pressure here. Do they have the damage though? Tony still going to be taking a decent amount there now. Zuni in a full freezing trap. Cassidy does get that preemptive Vitality Conduit, but he's still going through. He's going down through it. He's actually not healing. He's out of range, and he's taking so much damage. Mind control comes through from Hydra. Facil's charged him, and he stops it. Zuni now in a big stun there. Facil has to use his Hunter cooldowns there. So Facil's now also an open target on nLite, and this game could be over any second here, man.
Oh, it definitely could. Zuniaki is running out of time. His mana's not looking good. His defensive cooldowns are not looking good. Cassidy getting a little bit low. Powered shield will be connecting. Do they have more crowd control onto Zuniaki? I would say F2K right now. They have a little bit of a lead, but things have now stabilized for nLite. Looking a little bit better, but a full trap lands. Do they have the burst damage onto Cassidy? Cassidy lands a counter bash onto Hydra. Zuniaki is going to be looking for a fear out of that. Nicely done. Good engagement there by nLite, but still, it's Cassidy who's taking the primary amount of damage now.
Let's see if they can keep up the pressure here. Mana has basically been tapped for the better part of 2 minutes at this point. Freezing trap on Hydra. Looks like it breaks prematurely. Hydra's moving in on top of Zuniaki. He's getting dogpiled. Psychic Scream. Facile trades out a heal. Isn't going to be enough here. Disengaging back to Zuniaki. Looking to try and eat the freezing trap. Both these hunters mind gaming each other on top of each other's respective priests. Tony is tearing into Cassidy right now, forcing yet again another survival instincts. He did pre-use it on the stun here. It would be devastating if he has to use Bayer's Battalion as well. But Zuniaki gets intercepted. They may need to trade pain suppression. The entire team is being ravaged by F2K MyWay. And Hydra has a barrier down protecting his team. They're going to be quite stable. Facile, Cassidy, they need to leave that powered barrier so that they don't have to attack into the damage reduction. Kasu is chasing down Zuniaki, trying to bait out the premonition. He gets skull bashed. The damage is beginning to overwhelm nLite at this point. Facil's been low for so long. They switch over to Casso with no trinket, stunned on it. Nice timing there with Zuniaki's penance, trying to take him out, but now Zuniaki in a full freezing trap. Facil drops the mending bandage to try and recover. It may not be enough. Hydra moves in position. Beautiful psychic scream. F2K MyWay in a position where they might be able to take it. Facil on the run with the disengage. Casuo suddenly very low on health, and Hydra doesn't have any mana. He gets interrupted. Is Facil really going to turn this around? Vitality Conduit stabilizing the team. Zuniaki stunned up, trinkets into a triple fear to try and turn this around onto Casso, but Casso eats the freezing trap. Nicely played by him. Man, when is this going to end? This game just won't stop at such a high level of intensity.
I don't think there's going to be much left in this game right now. Hydra secures the fear onto Zuni. Facile taking so much damage. Zuni now into the intimidation stun. Warstorm comes out. Facile, how are you going to survive here? He gets a big heal from that Vitality Conduit. Once again, 31% dampening. Hydra is just spamming out the smites, trying to keep his team going by just healing them with damage with that atonement. Now finally stunned into a trap. No, I don't know what he can do. No mana left. Kasu, he could just be in biggest trouble of his life right now. Activates the turtle, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Hydra comes out of the fear, but Conduit activates, and I do think they have enough HP to go one more round here, Van.
Yeah, and Hydra has the power with barrier. If he can get a preemptive barrier, it's going to be big. Full trap on Zuniaki. Hydra trying to move forward, potentially for a fear of the bash, and it will look like Cassidy will fall. Do they have just a little bit more damage?
Kasu!
And it is F2K, potentially. I mean, Kasu, I think he's going to be okay at this point. Hydra stabilizes, and I mean, I think a lot of people would be surprised that F2K MyWay come out ahead in this mirror. nLite's been looking so dominant on that jungle. Maybe I don't think he's gonna go down.
No,
There's no way.
right.
It was. I mean, it was a close call, and you can tell how evenly matched these two teams are. I'm really interested to see the scoreboard. A couple things. I think we have mana returned on there. I believe, maybe not, but I'm curious to see how much mana Hydra got back. Using the Solace versus Zuniaki using Mindbender, and then of course just overall damage done. I think is going to be really, really important in a matchup like this.
That's going to be a game one victory for F2K MyWay. Here's that damage screen, Zuko.
All right, so Hunters completely tied. Feral Druids more or less tied. Hydra a little bit above Zuni on that damage. Tanked a few more CCs, but nothing too crazy. Landed a few less. I don't know. I think Hydra
It's a close
actually,
one.
yeah, it's really close all across the board. And Hydra had a couple of more purges, I think, than Zuniaki. So Hydra looked like he was playing it a little bit more offensive and doing more damage, doing more offensive dispels. And Zuni was maybe trying to be a little bit more defensive. He did have better mana throughout the match, but in the end, it was that setup. So a really, really close match between these two jungles. These are the two best jungles we have in Europe, so I'm not too surprised to see that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you really couldn't tell until the very end there who was going to come out on top. And these mirror matches, especially when it's an exact mirror match, you know, you have the same healer, same specs and everything, then these series are just so tough, and it puts these players, I feel like, under an immense amount of pressure as well.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And apparently I just got word from one of our admins that Hydra got slightly more mana returned with his Fangs plus Solace, so going for a little bit more mana management there, and maybe that's something that Zuniaki wants to switch up, go for the Solace instead of the Mindbender. But yeah, very evenly fought these two teams are. And I'm curious if Zuniaki actually ends up going undead. What do we think about the undead versus the human?
I actually wanted to talk about the same thing, but I wanted to go one step further and say Horde versus Alliance in this matchup. Like, Would you rather have a Tauren Druid or a Night Elf Druid that can re-stealth? Would you rather have a Human Hunter? Would you rather have, like an Orc? Well, what do you want? What was Kasu playing, actually? Was he playing Orc or Undead?
Kasu was Orc.
He was Orc, okay. Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. So what do you guys think? Horde or Alliance? Undead, Human, Priest?
It's weird.
What do you guys think?
You never really see. The thing is, I don't think we ever saw them play Horde jungle except in the mirror match.
Yeah.
Except in the mirror match is the only time we've seen F2K MyWay play Horde jungle. Maybe Hydra's just, honestly, he's put on some of his music from his PvP videos and wants to play the male undead and just really feeling himself right now.
He's making a montage video from the clips.
Everyone knows the music I'm thinking of right now for the these videos, but maybe that's it. But it is nice to have the Will of Forsaken, and that's basically it. Like for Zuniaki, he can break out of a stun. Hydra, he can break out of a fear, and potentially breaking out of the fear is a little bit more value for the side of Hydra. But such a close game. I don't know if it's one of those things that's going to come down to racials. But yeah, I mean, even just looking at the stats, there was slight differences, but basically identical across the board. I mean, 10% variance here or there, but that can just be, how the game plays out.
I would be so nervous if I was a player in a series like this. I mean, what's the pressure like when you're in this like exact mirror match?
Oh, I mean,
I don't know.
obviously
I feel like if you're
I mean, bragging rights.
Yeah, but at least you're not fighting Mage Lock. Like, I feel like you're actually like
True.
less stressed out. Like, at least you're not fighting Mage Lock.
No, I don't think that's true.
No.
The thing is, here's the thing: when you play against. Yesterday, we I think it was Cassidy we saw, or it might have been Facile. It was either Facile or Cassidy. We saw him play against Mage Lock and Dillypoo as well, and it's just like, instead of being mad, they kind of throw their hands up in the air. They have a smile on their face. It's like, yo, Mage Lock, what can you do? There's always that, not excuse, but you always have that out, right? Well, it's Mage Lock. We weren't going to win anyways. But in a mirror, if you lose, I feel like you don't have that to blame. You know what I mean? It is. Like, if you lose, you probably got outplayed. So I think there's extra pressure in that regard.
Yeah, definitely quite a bit of pressure on both of these teams here. nLite picking their composition here shortly. Ashmane's Fall is what was locked in here. I don't know. Do you think this is going to continue in the same way here, Supatees, or is this going to be a Game 5 series, the first that we'll see today?
I mean, I'm just really trying to see like the exact differences to figure out what allowed them to maybe get slightly ahead. So the Feral Druids were the... Sorry?
No, I was just going to say, for Tony Cat, he was playing
full versatility.
Resto Affinity. He was playing Resto Affinity too, whereas Cass was playing Guardian.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you guys want to see the stats that we're looking at on our side, you can go to awc.gcd.tv. Sorry, Zico, didn't mean to cut you off there.
What do I think is better?
Sorry,
See, this
I was technically cutting you off.
I was going to say, like, Cassidy's playing the Enzig Virag Corruption, which is healing, whereas Tony is playing full versatility. So I was thinking, like, maybe Cassidy's getting less value when you get deep into dampening because that corruption is based on healing, which is reduced, whereas versatility damage reduction isn't. But then Tony's playing Resto Affinity, which is, I guess it's similar healing, right? It's like every 30 seconds you'd Frenzy Regen, or every 30 seconds you could Swift Mend. Whereas with Resto Affinity, you're healing all the time, and you're healing other targets too when they're lower health. So maybe it is, if you're not going to just die in a stun, then Resto Affinity is probably better, efficiency-wise. And it doesn't look like they're dying in traps. Like that was just, it went into really deep dampening. So Resto Affinity might be better for efficiency if that's going to be the case.
And nLite in the past also something I am curious to hear your guys' thoughts on as well. We've seen nLite, they've also switched out that Disc Priest for the Mistweaver. Are they locking in Disc Priest just because of the fact that they're mirroring here? Like what's the choice behind that, Zico?
Well, if you look in Mistweaver, I think that the Priest team actually has an edge because the Mistweaver team is not going to have enough damage to actually kill in a CC chain, but the Priest team can actually kill the Mistweaver, especially on small maps. On this map, you could probably get away with playing Mistweaver, but I don't think there's a real edge to it, especially when you have, two of the best priests in the world, able to actually play their mains. I think you probably want to keep those guys on Priest unless it's like a really awful matchup.
All right, gates are open. F2K MyWay 1-0 versus nLite.
I'm like just waiting for the gear window to update to see if anyone changed, like if they copied them because they lost or not, or if they're just going to keep playing with the same thing. But initially, we already see powered barriers drop down very early, so the priests are trying to get ahead of the damage here. But crowd control secured first on Izuniaki. Looks like he pre-vitality conduited though, so no damage can be found even though that freezing trap landed. Actually just trying to kill the hunter pets. We saw the hyena targeted Facile's hyena, so interesting. Maybe they can kill the hunter pet. It might be a strategy. Hydra into a freezing trap. He pre-paint suppressions though. Paint suppression is soaking quite a bit of damage on Tony, and they're going to switch to Kasu, who doesn't have the paint suppression. Nice swap to Kasu. He's very low on health now as a result. I like that play by nLite early on. In a reversal though, Hydra gets a triple fear. Cassidy gets stunned up, but not taking too much damage. And crowd control has now subsided for both sides. Kasu is playing back with Hydra a bit, anticipating some crowd control. Tony's going for some casted heals. Bit cheeky there, but he does tank and interrupt. Zuniaki into a freezing trap. Hydra into a freezing trap. Tony stunned up. Cassidy pre-walls to stay on target. Tony walls at low health with a Maledict absorbing some heals. Hydra clutches the Dispel in between the crowd control chain, but they go for a second Maledict. They're trying to push Tony over the edge. Vitality Conduit on such low health. Maledict has faded. Tony's tossing out some heals. Is he going to be able to heal himself back up here? And he will stay alive for now, but nLite are doing a lot of damage early on.
Oh, potential for a trap here. Cassidy, though, already preemptively kiting, and that was the fear. I think if Cassidy's going to die in a chain, it has to be a trap into a fear or a trap when he's low HP. Like right now, Cassidy going to be able to chase Tony here, but he needs to be a little bit careful. Zuni is going to get feared any second. He has no human ratio for this stun into fear combo. Hydra actually doesn't have his fear. Hydra tanking a fear as a result of poor positioning. That is not something that we typically see him do. Probably mismanaging his cooldowns there, maybe not tracking Zuni's fear. I'm not sure. He does get a big Shadow Man though, keeping Kasu alive, and now he does land his own psychic screen. Tony though gets stunned. Hydra potential going to get trapped here, and Kasu does interrupt that penance, and now he's looking for his own trap, lands it. Tony looking for Cassidy. Cassidy just sitting in bear form, trying to kite this one out already, just being nice and safe. And now they're looking to turn the crowd control back onto Hydra and potentially have Zuni move in for a fear here. You can see Hydra's getting rooted. He gets feared by Facile, and now into a freezing trap. And Kasu could be in a lot of trouble here. He gets stunned up. Big damage. Hydra now in a stun. Do they have the trap though? They do. Tony in a mind control. Kasu in a 1 versus 3 situation, but looks like he's going to be completely fine somehow.
Yeah, Kasu taking big damage, and at this point, look at the mana difference. This is massive. Zuniaki's almost full mana, and Hydra's already burned down to around 65%, so a little bit of a lead here for nLite. In the last game, it was a lot more even. Full Fear now into Hydra. He's going to be using the Will of the Forsaken to break out of that, potentially looking for a counter Fear, but not able to find it. And now Cassidy, Facile, they are rotting down just a little bit. Zuniaki's going to have to play catch-up, using that Mind Bender to restore even more mana into a full stun. Is there any more crowd control? A full trap does land, so now it is time for both these teams to get aggressive, as Hydra was in a trap as well, into a maim stun. Kasu getting low. Exhilaration will top him off, and both these teams rotating their defensive cooldowns quite well. But I would say, I mean, nLite, they have to be ahead at this point. Hydra's already below 50% mana, just 3 minutes and 40 seconds into the game. And if this trend continues, nLite will have a massive lead.
So Zuniaki switched his trinket. He's running the Fangs just like Hydra, and I mean, he is getting outplayed in terms of mana management quite hard here, so Hydra's going to need to be careful. Tony on the ropes a bit here with the Gladiator Maledict Assault. Rapture for Hydra. Now Zuni in a trap. Cassidy could be in trouble. He sees it coming though. Activates the survival instincts. Those Maledicts are devastating. Cassidy waiting for Zuniaki to dispel that off before going for a frenzied regen, recovering a lot of his health. They use Thorns on Cassidy. They switch to Facile. Nice swap to Facile here by F2K, trying to minimize as much damage as possible. As this is a matchup where it's all about min-maxing and playing at your highest APM, really. It seems much more less about landing crowd control. But still trading cooldowns during crowd control. Important here as Tony trades survival instincts, waiting for Hydra. They stun up Zuniaki. They go after Cassidy. Not finding too much damage. He's on the run with that stampeding roar, line of sighting while Zuniaki's in a fear. He gets stunned up out of form. Nice bash here by Tony. Good punish. Mind control on Zuniaki, trying to put him even further behind, but ultimately Zuniaki is going to be able to recover his team. Both sides looking stable. Still a slight mana advantage to nLite here as dampening is about to begin.
Yeah. And Hydra is in a trap. Zuni still with an okay mana lead, I would say like about 20%. And if this game, goes in a similar way that game 1 did, I think that could be a big reason to potentially why nLite would win. So Zuni needs to try to hold on to his mana, try to keep his team, high HP. And I think that as long as they don't give out a kill in a CC chain like this, it should be completely fine here for nLite right now. Tony dropping dangerously low. Hydra are going to respond with his barrier right there. Tony catches a big Swiftman there as well, and he's going to go back to full HP. But now Hydra about to get trapped, goes for the mind control. Facile going to snipe it with the trap. Zuni is in position for the fear, but he gets intim stun, and that's going to allow Hydra to actually land the first fear. Zuni doesn't have his every man for himself there. The next intim stun, he won't have it, but the one after that, he's going to have it back up again. So they could make that play a little bit later, but Zuni now, knowing Hydra doesn't have fear, gets Master's Call. There's an intim stun on Hydra into a full fear, into a full trap here potentially. Let's see who is going to be the target here. Hydra actually using his Will of Forsaken, I believe, there to break out of the crowd control early. And now they're not going to have that trap for a couple more seconds, and there it is. Tony now, huge damage on him. Activates the trinket, activates the survival instinct. The Maledict is rolling. Zuni getting cross crowd controlled here. Tony needs a dispel on the Maledict here. Hydra making a big mistake, but Cassidy actually might just die here if they have any more crowd control for Zuni. Big kick there by Tony. Do they have Caster's interrupt as well? Do they have the damage? Looks like Cassidy is going to recover, but that was a nice attempt there by F2K MyWay.
Oh, definitely was. And Cassidy still getting bursted down just a little bit. Huge heal coming in from Zuniaki. 10% dampening at this point. And both these teams are relatively stable. The full trap does land. Cassidy with no survival instincts for another 10 second. Very susceptible to getting bursted down. But with the Thorns, just going to be looking to make trades with Tony Cat. With the Maledict. Gets dispelled off there by Hydra, which allows him to top off his team. And still, mana in favor of Zuniaki, but F2K, they still got enough left in the tank to make a play. And I will say F2K seems like they have a little bit more pressure, not at the moment, but in the last minute or so, they've been doing a really good job. nLite is completely recovered though, and now it's Tony who is in trouble into a full maim stun or stun into a full trap onto Hydra. Now Tony Cat, what is he going to be able to do? He's got to be playing a little bit scared at this point. Hydra might have the vitality conduit, and he does, and that will allow him to top off Tony and push in for a big offensive fear.
Oh, nice positioning by Hydra. Facile bashed up. They're switching to the Hunter, trying to burst him down, but not enough crowd control. Zuniaki pops out immediately, going for Rapture. Breaks the stun with the Everyman for himself. He needs to get these powered shields with Rapture, the way that he's built his character. Moves in for a fear. Hydra fully feared. Asuo is pulling back to try and eat the freezing trap. Will he be able to secure it for Lord Hydra here? He's got basically no mana. He's going to start to fall behind quite heavily at 17% dampening. nLite in a strong position in game 2, looking to tie up the mirror match here against F2K. Pain suppression subsides. Facile moves in, secures the freezing trap. This could be it for Tony if he gets stunned up and doesn't survival instincts. Looks like he's aware that the stuns aren't available. Looks like Facile's pet may have died at some point here. He's going to have to look to revive that. He's going to use Aspect of the Turtle to guarantee that he reses his pet. He's going to put him behind a defensive cooldown. Nice spear snipe, but it looks like Hydra premmed it. Hydra's chasing down Zuniaki for a fear of his own. If they can get this into a freezing trap or a stun, it might be devastating. Doesn't look like it's available. Hydra interrupted. Tony stunned up again. Barrier comes up in 6 seconds. Hydra's going to look to time that, but he's still crowd controlled. Caught into a full freezing trap. Zuni drops a pre-barrier here onto Cassidy. Tony's the one who's in trouble. Survival Instincts is just faded. Gladiator's Maledict stacking up. nLite looks to close out game 2. How close are they going to get? Now Cassidy getting reversed on Zuni in a trap for one more second. Both Feral Druids. Death's Door is knocking here. Who's going to fall first? Tony is recovering. Cassidy looks like he is as well, but Hydra has absolutely no mana left. He drops the barrier down onto Tony to try and stall as much as humanly possible, popping the Archangel, trying to get as much atonement healing out, but now into the freezing trap. Surprisingly, it's actually Cassidy who's on lower health, even though Hydra's in a freezing trap. Zuni has to pull Cassidy out of the fight for a moment to recover, which is going to slow their momentum just enough that mana is evening out.
Yeah, mana is actually kind of even. Zuniaki does have his pain suppression. Hydra has no cooldowns whatsoever, and Tony is super low. He goes for the War Stomp, gets it onto Facile, full trap onto Zuniaki. I don't know how Tony is going to survive, though. Hydra's out of crowd control. He has a little bit of mana left, but I don't know if he's going to have enough for the Shadowmans. He gets stunned up, he gets the Panans, Facile with the full trap, and surely that's got to be the game. Tony trinkets out of the stun right there, and he's going to kite behind the pillar, line of sighting the Hunter right there. Hydra in a full fear. Caster doing what he can with the Mending Bandage, but I don't think he's going to survive. Vitality Conduit is not going to be enough.
You see the camera? he gave a thumbs up at the end there. It was so great. Oh man, nLite tying it up 1-1 versus F2K MyWay. This series is just so closely matched. Now, game 1 victory to F2K, game 2 to nLite, and just feels like this is going to be one of those series Supatis that's just going to go to a game 5.
It definitely could. It looks like the large map. Did it really matter? I don't think map is going to really matter. I was trying to think maybe like nLite's going to be the team that way. I guess they had a mana advantage. It's not like they got to drink or anything. So I don't think map is going to be a big issue for either team. This is just purely efficiency. I want to see the scoreboard. Like who's maxing out their damage, who's regenerating more mana. That's what it's really coming down to. So like in this game, Cassidy did 2 million more damage than Tony, and Facile did 2 million more, and Zuniaki's damage also was a lot higher than game 1. He's closer to Hydra's in this specific match. So they were able to max out a lot more. Crowd control received was a little bit higher for Hydra than Zuni, but so that could have also been why they were able to win. A little bit more crowd control on the healer, higher damage overall, so just better played. Still, 10 minutes. You have to play that well for 10 minutes, and then all of those little advantages you're building up over time accumulate until you win.
Was it still yeah, it was. So I mean, looking at that is really interesting because Cassidy ended up doing more healing than Tony and is also just more susceptible to being bursted down. So maybe the restoration affinity is not worth it, and maybe that's something that we're seeing nLite try to exploit in the mirror match, because they went after Tony Cat quite a bit in that match, and without the Guardian affinity set, it seems like he's going to be taking a lot of damage, and he ended up doing less healing anyways.
Yeah, the first game, I don't know how, because Tony's build's really weird. I was pretty sure Devour Vitality was the best corruption for Feral, and Cassidy is running it, and Tony isn't. That right there was like the big, like, wait, why is Tony not running that? But then Tony won game 1, so I was like, wait, is it actually better? And then in game 2, Cassidy wins, and he's doing more healing because Devour Vitality heals you whenever you're attacking. So it's just a bit of extra free healing, kind of like a Demon Hunter. Tony doesn't have that. I feel like Tony kited more in game 1. Am I wrong? I feel like we saw Tony running away from the fight a lot more, and that's where Resto Affinity would shine better, whereas he was kind of just staying in the fight, it seemed. Maybe if you're going to stay in the fight and not kite, then Guardian's better because you're just more beefy. But Resto Affinity is better when you're moving around more. It could be something minor like that. In my mind, Cassidy is running the right build. Like, his build looks standard, whereas Tony seems like he's trying to like min-max his Swiftmans, I guess. But Cassidy's build is like what I would put in a guide and like recommend to people, whereas Tony's is like, it's just like a little bit off. It seems unique, but I would much rather see him run the Devour Vitality and then the Guardian Affinity too.
All right, well, we are moving on to Tovaron Arena. Now nLite looking to choose their composition, and then F2K will respond with their composition. I think we know what they're going to play, though. So the question is, I guess, based on what you were saying, Supatees, do we think the right choice then moving forward here is that F2K is going to have to make a little bit of adjustment in terms of the gear that they're running right now?
That or playstyle. Like, if he's going to play Resto Affinity, I want to see him run away more. Like, I swear he was running away a lot more in game number 1. And dragging the fight on just the tiniest bit longer. So maybe nLite just got on top of him more, and that was why, and they focused him more, so he wasn't able to do what he wanted to do. But other than that, I think he should go back to the Devour Vitality and then try the Guardian Affinity if he's not going to try and kite.
It's always really interesting to just look at the different like trinket options. The other thing Tony's running is the Insignia, so just the flat versatility plus the chance to proc a primary stat. Whereas Cassidy is using the emblem, the Battle Master's trinket, where he can kind of save his life with a big boost in his health. And I feel like if F2K had that trinket, Tony Cat had the emblem available, he would have lived because Vitality Conduit was rolling on him. If Hydra just literally had like 1 second, half a second, I think they would have survived that go and they would have been in a pretty good spot. So maybe a little bit more defensive talents and trinkets need to be used by Tony just to survive those all-ins, because it seems like unless you're winning in a crowd control chain or your priest is completely out of mana, you will be able to heal through. Like, as soon as Zuniaki and Hydra get out of crowd control, then they can either Rapture, they can Barrier, or they can use their Vitality Conduit. It's almost, you can't damage through that amount of healing. So I at least would like to see him use the emblem to survive those goes and give Hydra just a few more moments to keep him alive.
All right, well, we've seen F2K win 1 game, nLite winning another. Now we're tied up here 1-1, Zico. Based on what we're discussing, what Supatees and Ven said, do you have any, what do you think that they should be doing moving forward if F2K maybe wants to pull ahead here in this series, or nLite?
Well, the Feral changes are all interesting, but I just think it just comes down to clean goes, big momentum, big damage. That's the main thing. Like, you can't have Casu getting farmed on damage like that by Facils. You can't have Cassidy doing more damage, more healing. I feel like as a priest, you're going to be in a stressed situation like that. So it just comes. I think it's going to come down to that Hunter Feral synergy. Who can do it better? Who can play those 2v2s? Because a lot of the time, both priests are trapped at the same time, and it's a 2v2. Who can come out ahead during those goes. And I think a big reason why nLite actually did pull ahead on mana was because their Maledict goes were a little bit stronger than F2K MyWay's. They just had to waste more mana trying to survive those on the side of F2K MyWay.
All right, well, the series all tied up 1-1. Gates are opening soon here. It is nLite versus F2K MyWay in game number 3.
It's interesting that they lost and they also picked a bad map, or a big map, I should say, not a bad map. They picked a big map even when they lost, so I don't think the map selection is really going to be too much of an issue for either team's strategy here, but Hydra is crowd controlled initially. They don't go for the freezing trap. Casso leaps in for an instant freezing trap on that Harpoon and disengaging right back into the fight. That's some nice min-maxing by Casso. He's going to get a lot of extra damage out as a result. We see coordinated strikes pop by both Hunters here. Their damage is going to be maxed out during that time. Berserk as well. I mean, both these teams should just be pressing their damage cooldowns on rotation and trying to max out their damage to run the priest out of mana the way that this matchup feels. Bash onto Zuniaki. Both healers crowd controlled. Nice reversal by Hydra that the will of the Forsaken paying off there to reverse the crowd control into a full freezing trap. But did they get the Vitality Conduit? Yeah, Zuniaki slipped the Vitality Conduit onto Cassidy there, so he will survive quite easily. These priests are playing at such a high level, anticipating those crowd controls, and if the other team even leaves a moment in between any of these crowd control effects, they're going to activate that Vitality Conduit, paint suppressions or barriers, and save each other. Hydra into a freezing trap. Tony in a bit of trouble. Trinketing, activating that Survival Instincts, but he's got Glyr's Maledict stacking up. Again, they slip through the cracks, and Hydra's able to dispel the Glyr's Maledict.
Oh, Zuni missed the sphere right there. No, Hydra was rooted as well. I feel like if Zuni hits that fear, that could have been a game-winning situation. Instead, they're going to reverse the pressure onto Cassidy. He's already in bear form, already using that Guardian Affinity to its full potential. Tony, with the Thorns right now, actually getting decent pressure back onto Cassidy, but he kicks Zuni and he gets stunned behind the pillar. Hydra is not going to be able to pain suppression him right now. You can tell he's trying to get it. Zuni looking for the fear, but he does get stunned up. Hydra going for the Panans, goes for the Shadow Man. Zuni might fear him. He does land the fear right there. Tony, nothing here, and he is going to get destroyed. Wow. Look at Zuni right there. He's like, yes, yes, let's fill up the laundry machine, baby. One tap. Let's go.
I feel like that's the most emotion we've seen on his face all weekend.
You know what's insane? Tony died faster, so much faster, and he actually copied Cassidy's build.
Yeah, he did everything we said. He literally went Devour Vitality, he went he went Emblem, and he went Guardian Affinity.
He died so much faster.
I think the takeaway here is just don't listen to.
Is he over corruption cap?
Or Supertees.
No,
wait, is he over?
Look at what Tony does right here. Okay, this is when they lose the game. Actually, no, they already lost the game here. When Tony went and kicked Zuni behind the pillar, he got stunned there.
Yeah.
And that's when Hydra got stun trapped. And if he was in Hydra's line of sight when that happened, Hydra, I promise you, would have pain suppression him before he got trapped, because he did in all the other games. Yeah. And because he was out of line of sight, he couldn't get that.
It's not a matter of gear. They just maybe had a couple of misplays there in that last game, Ben.
Yeah. I mean, more often than not, it's going to come down to that. I mean, taking a look at the gear and the corruption and talents and stuff like that is fun, and it can make a big difference, but the game isn't decided based off what talents and stuff you play. Still, like Zico said, damage, good positioning, and just cooldown usage is going to matter a lot as well. And I think it was just a bit of a mismanagement of defensive not even mismanagement of defensive cooldowns, but just Tony was a little bit out of position at unfortunate times. And as a result, I mean, you can see nLite was able to capitalize on that. A really, really quick game. If the game goes on the way it's supposed to and everyone's trading their cooldowns right, that's when we're going to see the 30% dampening games. But, you know, if anyone makes a mistake, you can get punished for it really quickly.
Yeah, and it just really goes to show like how closely these two teams are matched up for each other. Maybe some of the matches that we've seen earlier today, or maybe even on Saturday, there may have been a little bit of more room to make those mistakes, Zico. But when two teams are this head-to-head, especially in a mirror match, there's just no room for any mistakes like that.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw it here, right? 2 games, going the distance, basically taking the entire mana bar of these priests to actually close out. But as soon as somebody makes one mistake, the game can just be over like that. And that's the thing, with these jungle mirrors, very, very explosive. Feral Druids, they can deal a lot of burst, but they also take a lot of burst. So if you are able to catch one of these Feral Druids in a clean setup without a trinket, and you have a trap on his healer where, one of these priests doesn't get the barrier or the vitality conduit. Basically, if one of these priests isn't preemptively using all of these healing cooldowns the way they have been, then you can take down a Feral Druid, in 2 traps.
And now nLite ahead 1 point in this series, 2-1, best of 5 once again. nLite wanting to close this out, obviously, with a 3-1 here. So F2K really backs up against the wall here. They need to win this next game if they want to stay in this series, Superd's. What is it going to take for these guys to catch up to nLite?
Well, I mean, maybe just go Ruins of Lordaeron. It seemed, not because I want to say my joke.
You just want to say the line.
But,
Yeah. 2-1 match point.
Li-
Sounds like Ruins.
I mean, line of sight was a problem, right? Like they lost because of line of sight, and that map had the biggest pillar for that to happen. The other thing could be also maybe I feel like the emblem build with Guardian Affinity, you like think of that as a cooldown cycle. You use your Battlemaster emblem, and then you Frenzy Regen, so it heals even more with your max health. You need to fit that in your cooldown rotation and practice it. So the fact that Tony wasn't playing it before might mean that they're not as practiced as Cassidy and Zuniaki with that particular strategy. So maybe he goes back to the build. Oh, they did it. They went to Runes. Look, I was right. Hydra's like, you're not lining me this time. No pillars.
Do you remember yesterday when Ben said the thing on the graphics like a
He thought it was
second
new
before
and
it
he
even
looked
appeared?
so good.
Dang, you guys are just on fire this weekend with those predictions. Super T's predicting Ruins of Lordaeron, and now nLite responding with their composition of jungle. F2K only has about a minute left to lock in theirs, Ben.
Wait. Here's
This fly-through is actually really nice.
Yeah, is this new?
Is this new?
This is a brand new fly-through. Like, honestly, seeing the flag, the candle, the stuff in the cart, like, I just want to give a big shout-out to whoever did this fly-through.
Yeah, big shout outs to the guys at production, bringing us brand new content here as we're getting into these gates. And I gotta say, I'm gonna make a really bold prediction here, but I do think F2K MyWay are gonna lock in the jungle again. And there it is, another prediction here by the members of the
You
cast.
saw it pop up on the screen, dude.
You saw it.
pop
You
up.
Well, what do you
There's
guys
no
think?
way you could have guessed that, man.
Whatever, man.
You
Sid is
waited
the one
until
that
the
cheats.
exact moment that it showed on
I
screen
can't cheat.
to guess jungle. I don't believe that.
Sid, didn't we do an entire
just too
tournament where
big of a
you were on
coincidence.
you were on the graphics like that the production had before they came to us, and you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna predict next map, we're like, what? 2 minutes before we're supposed to see this info.
Hey, it
I
sucks
don't
to
know. I did
suck.
not
You should have known.
I did not cheat. And by the way, if you still have that link, DM it to me right now.
Oh my god, nobody's allowed that link. I'll get the link and I'll just make myself look really smart, making all these predictions.
When do you think Runes of Lordaeron's gonna get a facelift? I feel like this map is what we got. Blade's Edge. It got a facelift. Negran.
I don't think it needs one.
I kind of want one though.
Undercity an entire facelift, didn't
I
they?
like it.
Oh yeah, they kind of did.
Undercity?
The Alliance did, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Undercity
That's
had
too
enough
soon,
of a
dude. That's
facelift.
too soon.
Soon,
That's
man.
too soon.
They did something to Undercity. I don't know if it was a facelift. Undercity definitely
too
under
soon.
construction.
It's the new cosmetic procedure in LA. It's really what all the celebrities are doing, just burning everything to the ground. Is that what happened? I'm really bad at lore. Undercity? Teldra still got
Undercity
burned.
did not
Undercity-
burn.
It didn't burn? I'm pretty sure it burned,
Well,
right?
What?
I
Yeah,
don't know. We're not
you guys- I
qualified
think
to be
we-
talking about this.
Let's-
yeah, we need
let's
to get
stick to
someone
We need to
King.
more
stick to Arena,
involved
okay?
with the
The
lore.
only thing I know about Undercity is that Ruins of Lordaeron is supposed to be there. So, yeah.
Alright, that's good. We'll stick with that.
it's plague.
Okay, it's
Okay.
covered in plague. Okay.
So
we have a
the-
word from
Glad we-
production.
Glad we got that sorted out. Thanks for the help on that.
Did you
So
even
it's fun
play
fire.
the BFA intro?
Me?
No, escape first global.
I escape everything. I escape all of the cinematics. I never
literally-
know what's going on.
Is it Fellfire? It might be Fellfire.
It's
Yeah,
not
that's what I was gonna say.
Hellfire.
Isn't it Fellfire?
Hellfire.
I'm
This
pretty
is
sure-
Legion. There aren't demons.
I
What are you
played-
talking about?
I think I played the BFA intro, and I'm pretty sure at some point the undead came out with gas masks and oozed the whole zone. So I don't think it's Fellfire.
It's plague.
Oh, God. There's probably people in chat like, it's dead! You guys are so dumb.
That's why
Alright,
we're
anyways,
doing this,
the-
by the
the-
way. It's to trigger chat.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're tilting me.
We're gonna have a whole podcast
You're so good, you're
segment next
tilting
week
me.
on WoW lore specifically. All right. Anyways, gates are open 2-1 nLite versus F2K MyWay.
All right, gates are open. We are in Ruins of Lordaeron Hydra looking for the fear here, and we are on match point here, Sid.
Yeah, Runes of Lord on match point, Jungle Mirror, nLite, F2K. Couldn't ask for it better any other way. It would be a fitting final resting place as it is a cemetery. Both teams currently fighting on the tombstones. They are ready to close this one out quickly. Tony the target for now. Hydra interrupted. Tony actually opting for renewal. Really afraid of dying, running just some extra durability. He's going to lose the mobility of Wild Charge. Let's see if that works out for him.
Oh, Tony's in a stun. He gets pain suppression early on by Hydra, being in his line of sight this time around. Zuni in a full freezing trap. Hydra looking for the fear. Let's see. Are they going to stop him? Doesn't look like it. He does secure it, but Tony is actually the one taking the brunt of the damage here. Cassidy now takes a big bite there. He's going to use that Shadow Meld Racial there and get a free stun as a result of that alliance. But look at that. Facile, Cassidy both taking so much damage. Hydra looking for the mind control here. Not going to be able to find it. Facile is there interrupting him, looking for the trap. Cassidy's there trying to eat it, and he's making it extremely difficult right now for Facile. Cassidy in a bash, so they're not going to have that available later on. And both priests in a stun. Who is going to get the fear first here? It looks like it's going to be Zuni. Hydra will seconds looks for the fear, but he's slowed. I don't think he's going to be able to make it there in time. And now instead, it actually Kasu is going to eat that trap. So a big mistake there from Facile, missing that trap. And now Hydra secures the fear, but nice Vitality Conduit there.
Yeah, it was, but that was nice by Hydra. He actually could have just gotten Zuniaki, but he was patient, and he went for the triple fear instead. However, I mean, Cassidy's just behind the pillar right now, going to get bursted down. He was in caster form. Cassidy and Facile both getting a little bit low. Great pressure here from F2K. Zuniaki definitely going to have to play catch-up. The Rapture will come in, and that is a very powerful cooldown that Discipline Priest has. You can just spam out extra strong Power Ward shields, and it's really difficult to break through those absorptions. Almost impossible, I would say. But now it is going to be nLite who strikes back with the trap onto Hydra. Double stun onto Kasu. Kasu could actually be in a little trouble. Does use the Feign Death and Exhilaration. That will keep him alive, and mana looking pretty even for both these priests.
Let's see if we can keep it this way here. 2.5 minutes in. Zuniaki into a fear. Cassidy stunned up. Really tearing in here. Penance flies in from Hydra. Cassidy trades out defensive cooldowns, stabilizing, reversing pressure on Kasu. Hydra getting ready for it with the powered shields. Gladiator's Maledict is stacked up quite high on Cassidy, absorbing some heals there, but he's got Thorns up. They don't want to attack into Thorns. Tony running around looking like he wants to jump in for a stun, but he doesn't have Wild Charge, so it's going to be really annoying if Zuniaki plays max range from him. Zuniaki moves in for Psychic Scream, but gets intercepted by the Hunter Kasu. Nice play there, but Zuni does paint suppression in between, so Cassidy is quite durable to lead the charge here, building pressure onto two targets, both Kasu and Tony in a bit of trouble. Hydra and a Psychic Scream on match point. Mending Bandage activates on the Casu to try and stabilize here. Vitality Conduit pulls him back up to full health. Mana still quite even across the board for both teams. Cassidy now getting blasted down. Zuniaki interrupted. Tony moving in for a Skull Bash on the follow-up, but now Tony caught into a stun here. He jumped into bear form. He's got renewal. This is when he would want to use it. He activates it immediately, and he will begin to stabilize. Zuni sitting through a freezing trap. Seal now in a bit of trouble. Hydra stunned up. Crowd control back and forth here on match point.
Yeah, but another beautiful Vitality Conduit by Zuni, and now Zuni waiting to secure maybe some more crowd control. Facile and Zuni both on top of Hydra. They're going to go for the fear. They land it, and now it's going to be followed by a triple DR in Team Stun into a potential freezing trap. Hydra actually activating his Power Word barrier right there, and now Facile just not going to use his trap instead and hold on to it a little bit longer until that barrier fades. Cassidy looking to get a kick here. They're looking to soft a target up a little bit, get them a little bit low before they commit the CC chain. Let's see who that target is going to be. It looks like it is going to be Kasu right now. Zuni and Hydra both in a stun. Who's going to get the first fear? I think Kasu actually has his freezing trap ready, so potential freezing trap into a full fear onto Zuniaki, but they need to get somebody a little bit lower first. Hydra actually repositioning a little bit here with that Rapture, and now Zuni moving in for the fear. He does secure it here onto Hydra because of that entangling root, and Kasu activating his damage cooldown. Zuni going to be activating that Vitality Conduit once again. Should be able to stabilize the whole team. Hydra waiting for that a little bit before he goes for the fear, but gets clotheslined there by the freezing trap of Facile. Tony taking massive damage. Zuni going for the mind control into a freezing trap, and now Cassidy could be in massive trouble. This is the clean trap here, and Cassidy's going to respect its trinket, use survival instincts, and Zuni is going to be in a full fear. That trinket survival instinct's really the only reason why Cassidy is still alive. Very clean setup there from F2K MyWay.
Yeah, now with the fear on Hydra, it's going to be Tony who could be in trouble again, but playing that renewal is going to make him pretty durable. Good self-healing on himself. Hydra potentially going into a trap. Facile sitting on top of him right now, looking to fake out the premonition. Is he going to be able to do it? And now looking like he won't even go for the trap. Facile actually getting targeted down, mending bandage, big power shields from Zuniaki. Facile looking like he is not going to be scared whatsoever. But the crowd control on Hydra has been delayed. And actually a preemptive vitality conduit before the crowd control. And this is a little bit risky because now it might be difficult for Hydra to actually top off Tony after the crowd control lands. But a beautiful barrier there by Hydra. Maybe the only reason why Tony survives this setup here. A lot of damage reduction, Shadowman spam coming in, and Hydra manages to stabilize Tony. Nicely done. Mana going to be even for both of these healers right now. Rapture shields with the Archangel coming in from Hydra as well. Burning through some of his defensive cooldowns. He still has the pain suppression left, but Tony might be vulnerable in a few moments.
Hydra is basically out of mana. He's caught into a stun. Facile jumps in. Freezing trap secured, but he pre-paint suppressions. Nice play by Hydra. Zuni gets sniped out by Kasu, but Kasu is in a bash. Is he going to go down here? Barrier preemptively activated by Zuniaki. I mean, they're playing ahead of the game. That's why there's no damage happening in those situations. Any other priests in this game, the game would have ended 6 minutes ago, but Hydra and Zuniaki are playing at the top level here for these disciplined priests, reading situation after situation, but they are burning down their candlesticks. The mana basically has nothing left on either side. Coordinated assaults have activated. Big boosts of damage for the survival hunters. Tony whittled down a bit here. Is he going to pop out with the renewal? Zuniaki in a freezing trap. They're chasing down Facile, but not really developing any momentum. It's Hydra that's struggling to stabilize the team here. Renewal going to pop for Tony, but he's still low on health. Zuniaki charging in across midfield, looking for the psychic scream from downtown. Is he going to find it? Doesn't go for it. Out of the stun there. A bit odd. Hydra still completely out of mana. There's the psychic scream. Double. Kasu very low. Tony stabilizes. Freezing trap out. This could be the aspect of the turtle if they can pump out enough damage, but doesn't look like it. They're actually going after Tony. Tony just tanking it out in bear form. He's chilling. Zuniaki now in a freezing trap. Cassidy sees it. He survival instincts instantly. Maledict activated onto Cassidy, but Zuniaki's in a fear as well as Facile. 3 versus 1 onto Cassidy with the Maledict. Our F2K MyWay going to take this to a game 5. Zuniaki bashed out. Pain suppression activates. Cassidy line of sighting Hydra at the tombstone and recovering with the pain suppression. Zuni should be able to pull him back into the fight with how much mana he has left here, but he's getting interrupted. Hydra in the freezing trap. Looking to develop pressure on Tony and Kasu in this position. I mean, this game is on a knife's edge. Anyone could still take it.
Yeah, and let's see the final moments here. 18% dampening. Hydra charging in for the fear. Gets interrupted by Cassidy. Tony solo on HP. Cassidy solo on HP. Zuni activates the barrier, activates the vitality conduit. Potentially for the last time this game. Full fear secured. And Facile is taking so much damage here. Might have to use his aspect of the turtle. He could be too greedy with it. And there it is. Aspect of the turtle comes through. Zuni gets kicked there on his penance. Final mana there for that last Shadow Man. Tony and Kasu both actually extremely healthy right now on HP. Facile looking for the freezing trap, gets it onto Hydra. Kasu stunned on the wrong side of the tombstone right there. He's going to make his way back to Hydra, trying to turn the pressure back onto Facile. Tony as well, looking like he's building up some pressure onto Cassidy. Which team is going to fall first? Hydra has his pain suppression rotating back up. He has his grip. He has his barrier as well. The next trap has to be a preemptive barrier, preemptive vitality conduit. You can see Kasu with those damage cooldowns active, and there it is, preemptive barrier on the harpoon there. And now Facile knows if he traps, it's not going to be great, and if he doesn't trap, it's also not going to be great. What is he going to do? He's going to wait with the trap. Now he's going to go for it after that barrier. He gets the trap. Kasu in a stun. Nice kick onto Tony's heels there, but Kasu still has all of his defense available, and he does have that thorns as well, beautifully placed there by Tony, as these teams just don't want to die here. Both priests completely out of mana, and I don't know who's going to walk away with this one, man.
It really is hard to say, but so much on the line for both these teams. nLite just one away. They want to close it out right here, right now. Are they going to be able to do it? Hydra trying to deny them at every step of the way. Archangel has been popped. All 6 members are getting low. Cassidy could easily fall. The full trap lands on Zuniaki, and looks like Cassidy will end up getting crushed, maybe. Beautiful fear by Hydra, the triple fear, but Cassidy still somehow alive, but will ultimately fall. F2K cleaning it up a lot in this game, making it a 30% dampening once again, and they will be tying it up and bringing it to a game 5.
2-2 nLite versus F2K MyWay. This jungle mirror series been super intense up to this point. Now we're on game number 5. F2K MyWay winning that last game. Zico, what was it that they did differently in that last game when they compared to game number 3?
I think they just had more pressure, good mana management. they kited when they had to. They did the damage when they had to, and honestly, it feels like it comes down to like the really late stages of the game. Who can get those clean setups? Who can get ahead? And I think what F2K MyWay had going for them is that they had a little bit better pressure onto Facils. And I think a big reason to why Cassidy actually dies in the end is because Zuni had to heal Facil a lot that game. But look at the damage breakdown.
Dude, Hydra is carrying.
Hydra is definitely carrying.
He's like making up the difference for Casuo and Tony.
He is. He's actually playing a great game. I mean, look at this: 22 dispels, 7 purges. He got CC just as much as Zuni. More damage, more healing,
more CC.
I mean, his team was pressured more as well. Yeah, he landed more fears too. So I don't know.
And his team's doing less damage. Not Hydra's fault.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, right?
If they lose.
If your team is, generally speaking, making less pressure in a mirror, as a healer, by default, your numbers should be worse.
Healing.
You should just have higher healing and go faster. You should definitely not be ahead on damage.
And now that we are going into Game 5, it's nLite's map choice here, and the pressure's certainly on for these two guys. Where does nLite go from here? They lost that last game. Now they're moving into to game number 5 here. Supatis, what's their strategy going into this game number 5?
They already played Ashamains. They already played Tolvaron. I feel like a bigger map. If Tony's going to play Renewal, like the downside is that he doesn't have mobility to land stuns. So maybe Zuniaki's team could play more defensively, try and win on mana, and max range the Feral Druid, so it's really annoying for Tony to actually get over and land stuns and try and win on attrition. So, but the problem is that there's not really any other maps other than like Tigers where that would really work. Maybe Mugambala actually, and then Zuniaki can heal upstairs. I guess the problem is if F2K brings the fight upstairs, but something with the Z-axis, and then they can use Wild Charge to jump up and down. I like the Robodrome. It's still big, and it also has a Z-axis, so it's both benefits.
We don't see this map this often.
We don't.
The first time I've seen it
too.
in a while. Why do you think people tend to steer away from it?
Because it's new.
I think it's new. Yeah, some people are afraid of change, so they just go to the comfort picks. The Grand Arena obviously going to be played first, but then going to things like Tiger's Peak and Ashamains, Tolvaron Arena. Robodrome is kind of one of those in the middle maps. Depending on where you play, it benefits different styles of composition, but overall it's a pretty well-rounded map. I don't mind this pick whatsoever. F2K actually, Hydra made some adaptations that game. He ended up going with the Mindbender instead of the Solace, and I don't mind that because you can pop the Mindbender to give you some healing before you go into crowd control, and it's just a lot easier to manage. I think the Solace, the one thing about it is it's really good if you can use it on cooldown, but if you're crowd controlled the whole game, it seems really difficult to actually min-max that ability. So I do like that change. His mana was looking really good that game. And yeah, I mean, at this point, I feel like I like the adaptations that F2K MyWay has made. Tony Cat going a little bit more tanky, as it seems like the Feral for most of the game is going to be that primary target. So going with the Renewal instead of the Wild Charge seemed to pay off for Tony Cat. He was able to just renewal off a lot of those Maledicts, and then the Frenzied Regen could heal him up quite a bit. But for nLite, we'll have to see. They're taking a little while to pick, but I don't expect them to switch. Like, there's no way they're not going to play Jungle Mirror. Maybe. Do we see Kara come off the bench with the Rep Alley? I feel like it wouldn't work out.
No.
Wait, why are you laughing?
I'm going to predict the Jungle Mirror.
There's no way they play Ret.
Did you see Supa's tweet yesterday? That was so
no
harsh.
Way they play Ret. There's one reason they won't play Ret. It's one honor talent that Feral Druids have. Leader of the pack. That alone is why they won't play Ret. The Ret Pally doesn't heal himself while he attacks. That is the reason you won't take the Ret over all the melee DPS that are strong right now heal themselves when they attack. So, or they have defensive stance, which is just like passive mitigation all the time. But the Ret Paladins have to lose globals to heal. They don't really heal that much anyways on themselves, and that's where they fall short. I really don't think you're going to see Ret. It doesn't have the sustainability that all of the best specs in the game have.
You literally posted a picture on your Twitter yesterday of a bench.
Yeah.
So I found where all the Ret Paladins go during a PvP tournament.
That is where they are.
Did you just find that on a walk?
If Kara took a selfie right now, he would be on that bench.
Oh, that's
I won't stand for this.
Yeah.
I don't stand for it,
It
Ben.
doesn't matter if you don't. He's going to
Stick up
be
for him,
there.
man.
It's just a fact.
Oh my god. Oh god.
Well, I just want to know who the best
It's
jungle
for
is.
sure
so
listening
kinda
right
Yeah,
now.
exactly. I don't even want to see him
That's
just for that
fair.
reason.
It's
alone.
fair.
Even if it was
Finish
better to
it the
play
way
Rat.
we started. Oh, by the way, so I got confirmation from production. These fly-ins are actually not Spoon. They are by the same guy that does all of like the cinematic-looking trailers, like the in-game ones. It's by It's like IK Reddit or Edit. IK Edit. IK Edit on Twitter. So yes, those are very well done by him. So thank you to him. And they're very. This is the first time we've seen the one for Robodrone all season. Not all season, but at least all weekend.
Ever.
I feel like we're just making up facts at this point about these fly-throughs. Like, I did a bad enough job. You don't need to follow in my footsteps, Aya.
Well, I wanted to give credit to the right person because I did say it was Spoon earlier and it was not. So, listen, man, I didn't make that up. It's real.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, God. Anyways, this is gonna be an intense game. We've been looking forward to this series all weekend. Now we're on match point for these two teams, Jungle versus Jungle. We can talk about like this comp and like sort of the history of Jungle that we've seen throughout the seasons. It seemed like last season, at least, it wasn't as strong as we're seeing it, especially now. Zico, what changes exactly happened to it? Like, why are we seeing more Jungle this year?
Maybe I think gushing is a big reason to why it's just became a lot stronger, and also I think some of those healer changes definitely helped out Priest. I think before Vitality Conduits, for example, Priest was not that great, but now I think that they are actually able to kind of survive for a longer period of time, which the jungle does need in some of these matches.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, we saw nLite, as well as F2K play yesterday, both playing those jungle compositions. Like, what would this comp do really well against as a counter? I'm curious, Sven.
What would this comp do really well against? I'm not sure. I think it does pretty well into Rogue Mage. It seems to really struggle with Mage Lock. So a lot of these teams do have Mage Lock, unfortunately, for these jungles. We did see a little bit of success with the Mistweaver go really, really late into dampening and kind of out mana if you can, but that strategy seemed to have fell off quite hard. The Paladins came up, and the thing about jungle is a lot of the time the jungle teams only play jungle. So if it's good, they look great. If it's not so good, then it's super unfortunate for them. But we are going to be getting into Game 5 on the Robodrome, and this is a very important point for these teams to pick up. At this point, both of them don't want to be going down 0-2 in the round robin, so picking up a victory here is going to be really important for their chances to make it into that top 4.
Hydra already crowd controlled up here. Cooldowns popped immediately by both sides in terms of damage. Trying to just max out here. Barrier placed out for Zuniaki, mitigating and recovering. Vitality Conduit going to be an important tool as it doesn't cost any mana to recover the team. Zuniaki in a freezing trap. Cassidy stunned up out midfield. Mindbender punching away as well. Castu in position to try and annoy Zuniaki even further. Psychic Scream secured. Huge pressure early on by F2K. Tony is still sticking to that renewal, whereas Cassidy has not switched over. They stun up Tony. Hydra's still trapped up. Tony not taking too much damage, though. In bear form, pops that renewal. I think might have got Gladiator's Maledict, though, absorbing a lot of its effectiveness. Cassidy jumping over to Hydra. Maybe looking for a bait on a Skull Bash, or just waiting for a Bash, but kind of just chilling at the moment. Retreating back behind the pillar. They switch over to Facile, trying to punish the positioning here. They left Facile behind. Cassidy activates Thorns. They're not going to attack Facile anymore. They switch back to Cassidy. Tony on the back foot, jumping into bear form. Hydra into the stun, and so is Tony, but Vitality Conduit's rolling, so Tony heals up for quite a bit here, even though Hydra's in the freezing trap. Nice play. Zuni into the stun, breaks out with every man for himself, goes for Psychic Scream. Hydra breaks out with Will of the Forsaken, reverses it with a Psychic Scream of his own. Play after play here, into the freezing trap. Cassidy stunned up, trying to take him out here. There's no cooldowns activated during that freezing trap. Mind Control and Zuniaki trying to extend this chain out as long as possible, but not really denting him, and nLite have a significant lead on mana at this point.
Yeah, it's looking good so far in the opening stages for nLite. I feel like in general in these mirrors, nLite has had the better mana. Right now, Cassidy is the one taking the damage. Zuni gonna activate that Vitality Conduit, which means if they get a trap here onto Zuni, this could surely be Cassidy's trinket here. But Zuni, nice barrier right there, is going to be able to hold on to it. So he chains his Vitality Conduit with that barrier, and that's gonna allow Cassidy to actually sit through that stun. And now they're going for a full field onto Hydra. No Will of Forsaken available. Tony might just go down here, takes so much damage here in that bear form, activates big heals there, and now he's going to come out, get the Vitality Conduit. Zuni's in a fear, and that was a close call right there. Cassidy with the instantaneous kick there on Hydra's penance as well. Hydra looking okay now on mana though, as they are stabilizing, but Tony had to use a lot in that exchange, and Cassidy still has every single cooldown left, so slight lead still for nLite. Hydra now in a full trap, does not get the Vitality Conduit. Zuni does though, however. Now Zuni in a full stun into a full trap. Hydra keeping Tony alive here. Now Cassidy is in a world of trouble. Full secure, and Cassidy could just go down here, get stunned into a stunny trinket, into a war stone.
Mind control!
Zuni gets nicely mind control right there, and they have the damage though to finish the game. Cassidy so low, few offensive purges. He purges the barrier, but Cassidy ducks behind the pillar and catches a big heal from Zuni. Both of these teams so close to scoring kills already in this match here, man.
Definitely great offensive plays there by Hydra as well. That fear into mind control, dispelling off the power word shields. Definitely really important. And luckily for Cassidy, was able to get out of line of sight and avoid imminent death. And now nLite needs to try to strike back, but once again, it's Zuniaki who's into the full trap, and it is going to be F2K who looks to be aggressive. Cassidy playing very scared right now, just going to be using this pillar to avoid as much damage as possible. The Maledict is rolling right now. If it gets dispelled off, it looks like Zuniaki will be able to recover. Zuniaki charges forward, gets the full fear immediately. Will the Forsaken is used by Hydra to break out of that crowd control, and now Hydra is on the run. Can he get the fear? He's into a trap, and now Tony is falling behind. Survival instincts has to be traded out, but that might not be enough. Tony is in so much trouble. Hydra dispels the Maledict, grips him over. Big penance will land, and it looks like Hydra should be able to keep him alive. The stun does come in, but Vitality Conduit going to be more than enough to keep this Feral Druid alive.
All right, beautiful plays by both sides here. Mana is evening out on match point game 5. You couldn't ask for this series to get any better here. Which jungle is better? Which priest is better? We're going to decide here and now in game number 5. Tony falling behind once again, though, as Hydra's into a full freezing trap. Gladiator's Maledict is fully stacked. Tony's healing is all being absorbed. They just need a tiny bit more damage to take him out here. They don't have it. Hydra's under crowd control, dropping in those Rapture-powered shields. Moves into position for a Psychic Scream, looking to try and turn around the pressure, but there's just no damage coming out from Kasu and Tony. I'd really like a scoreboard at this point. I really think Hydra's definitely going to have to carry the team here if Cassie and Facile have as much of a lead on damage as they did in the last game. Tony falling behind, no renewal for a minute. Zuniaki is chasing down Hydra for a Psychic Scream. He gets Masters called into it, but now Zuni into the stun. He breaks out to avoid the freezing trap. They're chasing down each Druid. Vitality Conduit at the same time onto the Pharaohs. They both take no damage. Perfect deflection by both Zuniaki and Hydra.
Yeah, and now once again, both priests basically at this point. Hydra behind on cooldowns right now. Tony taking massive damage. Hydra's in a full stun. Tony could just go down here. He activates the Berserk though, tries to get some counter pressure, but he has to sit in bear form with that Berserk active. Not the best situation to be in. Hydra goes for the penance, goes for the heals, gets the full fear onto Zuni, who preemptively barriered. Tony should be okay at this point. He gets gripped back to safety. Hydra going for the penance as well, avoiding these kicks. He's trying to reposition behind the pillar. Tony gonna get a fat regrowth into a hibernate. Doesn't land it there though onto Cassidy. Now Cassidy actually takes a decent amount of damage. Zuni activates the Vitality Conduit, looking to keep his Feral nice and healthy. Tony actually looking to get some pressure going here. He bashes up Cassidy. Cassidy trinkets out of that, trying to get aggressive. Tony in bear form now, realizing the danger he's in. Frenzied Region already active. Hydra in a stun. Potential for a fear, but Zuni actually gets stunned here. And now Hydra is the one that lands the fear. Kasu avoids it though, and he does as much damage as possible here, but nice pain suppression onto Cassidy with the thorns. He's going to keep him alive, and now it looks like Zuni looking for a fear onto Hydra, and Tony could be the one that falls.
Definitely at this point, anyone could fall. 10% dampening, full bash onto Cassidy with a full trap onto Hydra. Who are they going after? Tony once again doing a great job in bear form, preemptively kiting, but the Maledict is soaking up a lot of those heals. Renewal will get used, and that looks like it will be enough to keep Tony alive at full fear now into Zuniaki. Cassidy, though, Cassidy's been doing a really good job on this match. whenever he kind of predicts Zuniaki's going to be going into crowd control, he's already out of line of sight. He's already super far away, and it's been preventing a lot of damage on him during F2K's MyWay's goes. So really well done there by Cassidy. Zuniaki getting interrupted, and it is Cassidy once again that could be in some trouble. Facil's pet's actually dead, and a mind control from Hydra will deny him from reviving that pet. If they can keep that pet dead, it's going to be big for their team, but it almost seems inevitable at this point. Once again, Hydra with a beautiful mind control. Unfortunately, no interrupt to stop it, but that does put them way behind on damage, and Facile and Cassidy are rotting down with a trap on Zuniaki. Trap does fade. Now Zuniaki potentially looking for a fear. He stuns. Hydra going for a counter fear. Extremely well done. And now it's F2K MyWay who looks to be in the driver's seat.
All right, let's see if they can keep it up here. Dampening, ramping up, 17% healing reduction. No mana left in the tank for Hydra. Basically nothing for Zuni, but that tiny bit of an advantage could be enough here on match point. Are they going to close out the series? Tony is so low on health. Gladiator's Maledict absorbing some heals. Conduit activates. Tony is cowering. His healer in a full freezing trap. Cassidy jumps in with the maim. They turn it around with the bash. He retreats in bear form. Facile trying to finish him off. Hydra's barrier comes up in 1 second, but he gets skull bashed. He can't use it for 2 more seconds. Everybody is dying on F2K. nLite and totally dominating in these final seconds. How is Hydra going to carry the situation? Drops down the barrier, moves in himself, goes for the Rapture Archangel, tries to get whatever heals he can here in what could be the final seconds of the last game in this series. Can Hydra pull this off? He's stabilized Casu and Tony, at least sort of, at this point. Zuniaki's now completely out of mana. They go for the stun, but he breaks out, lands the Psychic Scream. Hydra can't assist. They go for the Gladiator's Maledict. Tony's on the run, but a freezing trap lands. This has to be it. He gets a double war stomp. He buys a second, but 1 second is not enough. nLite cleanly take game 5.
Yeah, that's going to be a victory for nLite going all the way to a game 5 for that series in that jungle mirror. And it seems like nLite towards the end there, Zigo, was just playing out absolutely out of their minds.
Honestly, this is